Hi. We're going to be continuing talking about converting our units of length. On Friday, we talked about three specific customary units: feet, miles, and yards. Today, we're going to be getting into more. If you take a look in this purple box on page 219 in your textbook, they're giving you the customary units of length. These are the conversion factors that you need to use in solving your problems. So, as we talked about before, we knew that 1 yard was 3 feet. 1 mile was 5,280 feet, and 1 mile is 1,760 yards. But this is showing that we also have 1 foot is 12 inches, 1 yard is 36 inches, in addition to what we talked about on Friday. So, in the customary measurement system, some of the common units of length are inches, feet, yards, and miles. You can multiply by the appropriate conversion factor over here in the purple to convert between units. A conversion factor is a rate in which the two quantities are equal, but they use different rates, like we were doing on Friday. So, this is going into our proportions. And basically, that's sort of what they're telling us. This is an unlock the problem. In the unlock the problem for our customary units of length, they're telling us, in a soccer game, Kyle scored a goal from a corner kick. Kyle was 33 feet from the goal. How many yards from the goal was he? So they're asking us to turn 33 feet into yards. So we have to figure out a conversion factor to turn 33 feet into yards. Remember, on Friday, that means we have to choose our conversion factor that is talking about, in this case, feet and yards. So we're looking for feet and yards. The only conversion factor that we have here, feet and yards, is 1 yard is 3 feet. So that's what they're using, as you can see over here. So we have our 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. We're going to set that up as a fraction. 1 yard over 3 feet. They're giving us 33 feet is how many yards? Remember, we want to set up our units straight across from each other. So they're giving us our feet. So we're going to set up our 33 feet across from our feet. We don't know how many yards. Now we have our proportion. Essentially, what we're doing is we're asking ourselves, what do we have to multiply by 1 by to get to our question mark? What do we have to multiply our 3 by to get to 33? Remember, what we have to do in the top, we have to do in the bottom. To get from 3 to 33, we have to multiply by 11. So what we do in the bottom, we have to do in the top. So we have 1 times 11 is going to give us 11 yards. So that means that Kyle was 11 yards away from the goal. That's essentially what the book is telling us to do here. They're telling you, use the rate 1 yard to 3 feet, which we did. Multiply 33 feet by the conversion factor. They're having you multiply 33 feet by your 1 yard to 3 feet. And then you're dividing out your units. You're dividing out the feet. If you want to do it the way that the book's telling you to do it, that's fine. I just find setting up proportions a lot easier. So what the book is telling you to do is say, all right, well, we know that it's 1 yard for every 3 feet. And the reason why they set it up on the bottom is because we start off with 33 feet. And they want to cancel out the feet. So we know that anything divided by itself is 1. So this is really over 1. So when we multiply, this is going to be 33 feet yards divided by 3 feet. Now we have the same thing on top and bottom. So they're crossing out the feet, and we're left with yards. That's what the book is telling us to do. So in this case, you'd have your 33 divided by 3, and you still get 11 yards. So whether you want to do it with your proportion or figure out what you have and what you want to cancel out, like the book is telling you, that's fine. They both give you the same answer. So we know that Kyle was 11 yards away from the goal. The next question that they're telling us is how many inches was Kyle away from the goal? So now we're using either feet and yards or feet and inches. They're telling us to go back to the original question with 33 feet in the book. But because we know yards, we could do either one. I'm going to use the feet to inches because that's what the book is telling us, to show you what the proportion and what the book's doing. So first I'm going to do what the book's doing and then show you the proportion way. So they're saying we're converting inches from feet. You're trying to turn feet into inches. You have to look at your conversion factors and look for something that has feet and inches. That's going to be 1 foot is 12 inches. So we know we're going to use 1 foot is 12 inches. They're giving us feet, but we want to take the feet away. So we have to set it up again with the feet on the bottom of our conversion factor so that our feet vanish. So what the book is telling you is to say take that 33 feet and multiply by the conversion factor you have. You want to cancel the feet out. So when you multiply it, you have to multiply it with your inches on top and your feet on the bottom. That way, we have feet on top, feet on the bottom. They will eventually cancel out. You'll have 33. We can put this over 1 if we want. 33 times 12 feet and inches. All over, this is really 1 and 1. Really just 1 feet, or 1 foot rather. So it would be FT. So we have our feet, which is also FT here. We see we have feet on the top, feet on the bottom. They're going to cancel out. You're just going to be left with inches. So now that's all that's left to do is multiply our 33 by our 12. Which if we do that, multiply our 33 by 12, I'm going to multiply 12 by 33. 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. 1 times 3 is going to give me 3. When I move from the 3 to the 3, I have to add a 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Add together. That's going to give me 396, 396. So what that means is we have 396 inches from the goal. So that's solving it by using what the book wants you to do. If we go back to our proportions, we have a conversion factor. We have 12 inches for every 1 foot. We know that we're 33 feet from the goal, so we know our feet. We don't know our inches. Remember, you have to set up your units across from your units. So now we have to ask ourselves, what do we have to multiply 1 by to get to 33? What do we have to multiply 12 by to get to our question mark? 1 times 33 is 33. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So then we'd have to multiply 12 times 33. We did there. I'm not going to re-multiply it. Either way, we're going to get 12 times 33, which our answer is going to be 396 inches. So we know that Kyle was 11 yards from the goal, 33 feet, or 396 inches. Those are all the same length, just in different units. So that's a little bit with our customary units of length. If we're talking about our metric units of length, which we didn't really talk about on Friday, we also have conversion factors. We have millimeters, centimeters, decimeters, our units, which for length is meters, decameters, hectometers, and kilometers. What's so special about the metric unit, which we've talked about a little bit before, is that you can get from each unit to another unit by either multiplying or dividing by a power of 10. They're showing you in the chart. So there's two different ways that we can do it. We could either set up a proportion, or we can use our chart. If you want to draw out the chart, that's fine. So let's take a look at the problem that they have, and we'll show it both ways. So their problem is a Boeing 777, which is a 300 passenger airplane, measures 73.9 meters from nose to tail. What is the length of the airplane in centimeters? And then what is the length in kilometers? So the first way is by using our conversion factors. So if we're trying to turn meters into centimeters, we need to find a conversion that has centimeters and meters. And that's going to be our 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So we know that 1 meter would be 100 centimeters. So let me rewrite that. So we know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. We get that from our conversion factor. We want to figure out, if we know that we have 73.9 meters, how much is that in centimeters? So that's the information we're going to use. So we can either set it up like we did before. I'm going to say 100 centimeters for every 1 meter is equal to. Now remember, I have to set it up across. I know my meters. So I can put 73.9 meters on the bottom. I don't know what my centimeters are. So I have to ask myself, what do I have to multiply 1 by to get to 73.9? And then when I multiply that on the bottom, I also have to multiply it on the top. The answer here is 73.9. 1 times 73.9 is going to give me 73.9. That means I have to multiply 100 by 73.9. So if we're doing that, the trick with multiplying by 100s is 1 times anything is itself. We have 2 zeros, so since we're multiplying by 100, we can move the decimal point 2 times to the right. And if we have any missing spaces, fill in a 0. What that's telling me is that 73.9 times 100 is going to end up being 7,390. So our answer in centimeters is 7,390 centimeters. With the chart, we know that our powers are 10. They're showing you right here that if you're multiplying, if you're trying to get smaller, going from kilo all the way down to millimeter, you're multiplying. If you're going to the bigger units, then you'd have to divide. In this case, we're going from meters to centimeters. So we're going from bigger to smaller. That's why they're multiplying. So we have a simple saying for it to remember it. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. And that's going to be for our units. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Kilo, hecto, deca, unit, which in this case we're talking about length, which is meters, deci, centi, and milli. So we're starting at our meter. We're trying to get to our centi. We have to go 1, 2 places to the right to get from our unit meters to our centi. So what that's telling us is any decimal point we have, we're going to have to take the decimal point and move 2 units to the right. That's essentially what we did here, and that's what this is telling you to do. So we take our 73.9 meters, we locate the decimal point, which in this case is right here, and to turn our meters into centimeters, move 2 spaces to the right, which is what we did up here. And that's how we get our new decimal point over here. we have to fill in a spot over here, so we fill in with a 0. And we see that our answer is going to be 73.90 with a decimal point over here. But we don't care about that because there's nothing after it, so we can drop it, because that's really 0.0, or just 7,390. So that's our answer for the first part, turning our meters into centimeters. Now what about turning our meters into kilometers? This one's a little bit different, because notice we went from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. Now we're going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit. So instead of multiplying by 10, if we're using the chart, we're going to have to divide by 10. But we'll get to that after. So we know we're using meters and kilometers. We have to go back to our conversion factor and figure out meters and kilometers. The only one that uses both meters and kilometers is 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So that's what we're going to need to know for our conversion factor. 1 kilometer, km, is equal to 1,000 meters. And again, we have our 73.9 meters, and we're trying to figure out how many kilometers that makes. So with that, we can set it up like we did before. We have 1,000 meters for every 1 kilometer. And I'm going to have to put my units across from each other. So this is telling me I have 73.9 meters over an unknown amount of kilometers. So we have to ask ourselves what we have to multiply or divide to get from 1,000 to 73.9. Well, we have to multiply or divide to get from 1 to question mark. We can see that 73.9 is smaller than 1,000, so we're not multiplying by anything. We're actually going to have to divide by some number. And off the top of the head, it's not that easy to figure that out. But one thing we can do is, since we have a proportion, we can do cross multiplication to solve, which is a little bit more difficult. With this case, it's a lot easier to do the second way, but we can still do it the first way. So we set up our proportion. We have our 1,000 over 1 is equal to 73.9 over our question mark. Remember, with cross multiplication, you multiply in the shape of a butterfly. Well, I'm going to multiply my 1 times 73.9. And that's going to be equal to my 1,000 times my question mark. 1 times anything is itself, so that's going to give me 73.9 is equal to 1,000 times my question mark. I don't want anything to be next to my question mark. I want my question mark by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by my 1,000. And we can see here that our question mark is going to be equal to 73.9 over 1,000. If we want to write that as a decimal, that would be 0.0739, which is really, really small. This is the harder way to do it. The easier way is with the chart. Remember, we have our King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. We're starting with M, our meter. And you're trying to get to kilo, which is over here. How do you get from meter to kilo? You're going to have to go to the left 1, 2, 3 times. So what that's telling you is to take your decimal point with the number that you start with This is for meters. We have 73.9 meters. And we have to move our decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to our left to turn our meters into kilos. We have an empty space here. We have to put in a 0. And that's going to be our answer. This is going to be where our new decimal point is. So it's going to be 0.0739. And then we can put a 0 if we want in our ones place. So this is how to do our metric system. With the metric system, it's a lot easier because it's just working with our powers of tens. We can use this chart and start at where they give us and either move to the right or left. If we're trying to get to a smaller value, you're moving to the right. You're trying to get to a bigger value, you're moving to the left. So that is a little bit with our customary and metric systems. I want you to use the information that's given to you. Whether you want to do it either way I showed you in the video, that's fine. If you have another way that consistently gets you the answer, that's fine too. But use the conversion factors that they gave you. If, again, for metric you want to use the table way, that's fine too. But I want you to work on page 221 and 222. 221 and 222. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.